Okay guys, so today's video is going to be a gym routine. It's meant for people that work full time. I'm a 209 marathon runner. I was a professional runner for 10 years. I no longer am. I now work quite a lot. And gym is probably the most important thing you can do for running to make sure that on race day you get the most out of your fitness.
I'd imagine most of the runners that follow my channel are fairly time crunched, whether it's family life, work life, etc. So you don't always have time to perhaps do a 1 hour gym session. So let's go through this quick kettlebell routine. You can do this after a run, after a session, and perhaps you'd look to do this 2 to 3 times per week. So moving into 2025, I'm completely supporting myself. All I would ask for you is to like and subscribe to today's video. Perhaps comment below. That would be absolutely fantastic. You can also check out 262clo.com. That's my running gear. There's over 230 5-star reviews. They're all live. They're all public. You can go and read them all. Check that out and let's get back to the video. So we're starting with some calf walks, and on purpose, I sort of start without the weight, just to kind of get going. I'm up nice and tall on my calves, or on my toes, sorry, keeping those sort of heels up off the ground. Hands are on my hips there, but you're really trying to keep that chest and body language up nice and tall. This is active toe plants, where you actively, press the toe down, but you're still trying to keep those heels up off the ground, and the emphasis should still be very much on the calves. So at the end of every sort of exercise, we jump into like a little bit of a plyometric exercise, and that's just a double leg pogo. You don't want to land too much on your toes during this. You can be almost pretty flat footed and then sort of spring up. Now we're on to a single leg pogo, which same idea. Really do try to emphasize keeping the body up nice and tall here. Try to have good balance through the foot, and you're sort of going for a quick sort of ground contact time, but also trying to get a decent amount of sort of height in your jump. So now I picked up the kettlebell. This is like an 8 kilogram kettlebell, which just see how you sort of go with something like that. We're starting with that same exercise, just with the sort of like calf walks. You can see heels up off the ground, really trying to put the emphasis on the calf, and keep the sort of chest, body nice up and tall. Into our plyometrics, so still those sort of double leg pogos. Like I said, try not to be super toey, because we don't sort of land on our toes when we're running. All right, so see him, single leg. Really think of a string pulling you up and down. You're trying to keep the body up nice and tall, sort of chest high. Okay, so this is sort of the first, walking lunges. Keep again chest high. Your head should kind of be looking directly out in front of you. I'm carrying the kettlebell up there on my shoulder. It just sort of spread the weight a little bit nicer. But yeah, it's just a lunge. If you've ever done lunge before, don't sort of lunge too far, but also don't sort of lunge too short. This is great for sort of a mobility side of things and a sort of strength side of things, but it's really starting to work all your muscles pretty good now. And then we've got like similar to what we were doing before with plyometrics, but this time it's a bit of a split jump. And like I said, just trying to almost superset, where you're doing a strength exercise and then you're combining it with a little bit of plyometrics, which is perfect for running. So now we're doing the sort of same thing back, the same sort of walk. This is a bit of a different angle. Now you can sort of see you're really kind of trying to keep your knees and your hips kind of outward. You don't, you'll see people sort of knee cave in, and you kind of don't want your knee sort of caving in. I'm not a strength conditioning coach, but this is just stuff I'll have picked up over time, that you're trying to keep some sort of decent alignment there. You don't want your knees, going out or sort of going in. So back to these, sort of pogo split jumps, trying to keep that chest up nice and tall. Think about your ground contact time being as quick as you can, but you also are trying to get some height. So slightly different sort of lunge this time. You can see I don't go as deep into the lunge, but I do rotate my sort of shoulders and body off to one side, the same side where your forward leg would be. The idea here is that we're still getting in some lunges, which is great, and that's great for the mobility, great for the strength. But when you do that sort of like rotation, that sort of twist, it really opens up that thoracic. And a lot of people that get like breathing issues, whether it's diaphragm, psoas, it can either be like weaknesses there or just a lot of tension, a lot of tightness. So same again, with a lot of these exercises, it was just a case of, doing them one direction and then doing them back again, which was, sort of like if you call that like 2 sets or whatever it would be, a little bit of recovery at the other side, or add in that plyometric exercise. So again, same thing, you know, keep that chest up nice and tall, head up nice and tall, and think about your knees not caving in. You're not going as deep in the lunge this time, but you are bringing that rotation in, and it's not a swing, it's a nice and controlled rotation. So PS, I am terrible at RDLs, so this is single leg RDLs. And what you want to do is you want it all to be one motion. So you want to hinge from the hip, and then there should sort of be this straight line through the body all the way out the back leg. These are actually pretty difficult, so maybe do these without the kettlebell at first. But yeah, you're trying to, at equal sort of moments in time, hinge at the hip, and then as you hinge at the hip, your body from the sort of waist up to your head should sort of come down, but then the sort of back leg should come out at the same time. So it kind of acts as a one, but my front leg is slightly bent there, which is, you know, I'm critiquing myself. It's supposed to be sort of a little bit bent. All right, we're into some just kettlebell swings. The real thing that I would say here is, again, you've got that little bit of a bend of the knees, but you're trying to drive the sort of hips through. This is good for, you know, part of the running action would be that sort of like hip drive where as your stride comes through, you're trying to, like, you know, push the glutes through, which is why we're doing this exercise. So both legs are sort of slightly bent. You're driving off that sort of back leg up into, you can also see that the back leg's slightly further behind the front leg, and then you're really sort of like accelerating up, which is your knee drive, and you're going to feel that sort of like really open up the opposite hip flexor. So in this instance here, my left leg's driving up, I can feel it in the right hip flexor. Now we've switched, so the left leg is slightly further back, the right leg sits that little bit further forward. I'm driving up sort of with the right leg, but that's all coming from that back left leg. And this is like an exaggerated running action. But if you can get that exaggerated running action a bit stronger, it's going to make your sort of each stride when you're out there running that little bit better. Okay, so we're back to those RDLs. Remember, it's all one sort of motion, you know, from the hip, really trying to keep control in the leg that's planted, and only go as far as you're able. So once you sort of lose that control, once you sort of feel the pelvis drop, once you sort of feel that your core's not engaged, you can see that I actually have my hand there to feel that my core's engaged. Once you sort of notice it's starting to fall apart a little bit, then you have to stop. People that are really good at this, they're going to be able to hinge all the way from the hip and almost be like a straight line across the body, but also, you know, they're going to be much further out the back than I am and out the front, but they'll be much better in control doing it. So now we're sort of back to our kettlebell swings. Again, like I said, push those sort of glutes through, push the hips through, chest up nice and tall, make sure you're looking out in front of you, and keeping those knees out, not sort of allowing them to, you know, collapse in. So hip hinge, driving off the right leg. I'm really looking for a good push off the ground, and the sort of left leg, you know, coming up nice and tall. The right leg that is planted, that's where you're feeling it sort of drive from the glute, and you want the sort of hinge, or now it's the left leg obviously, but you're looking to feel that you've sort of like not pulled the hip flexor, but you're stretching it because you're trying to open that stride up and sort of lengthen it, but also feel powerful. So this is your kind of like bonus round. This is some single leg, you know, hops. You must stick the landing, and so it's a single leg hop, kind of as far as you can go, but you must stick the landing, and you must be somewhat in control. I'm not in control here, so I have to go back. I have to start again. My rule is you need to stick the landing of 5 of these, so 5 single leg hops. You must stick the landing. If you don't stick the landing, you have to start again. You're trying to look for sort of like control when you're doing these, and what I mean by control is that you're just not wobbling all over the place. When you start to notice that these are going better, that you're better at your sort of standing jumps, you'll find that when you're running, you're just much better in control of your own stride. And I think as I've got sort of better at running, when I'm running, it just feels like my sort of stride, or my 2 legs, they're just working really well in sync. When I'm not doing the gym stuff, I notice that my stride sort of falls apart a little bit. So this is called CMJs. You're trying to take momentum out of these, which is why I sort of pause after each one, but you sort of stand up nice and tall, and then it's a quick down and up. You're looking to sort of jump up as high as you can, but keep that chest up nice and tall, head up nice and tall. And so stand still and then whoop that down, up you go. And again, you have to sort of stick the landing. So now, like, we probably did this as kids, but I doubt anyone's done this for a long time. It's just a stand and jump. It's a bit like the CMJ, but you're also looking for a bit of forward movement now. You also need to stick the landing. If you don't stick the landing, then you have to go back to the start. So always start with a sort of distance of jump that you know you can handle, and then look to progress these over time. You're not trying to achieve it all in one session. If this is something you're going to do 2 to 3 times a week, you don't need to rush this stuff. I like that I'm taking a bit of recovery. I have been taking bits of recovery. I just, didn't film all the little bits of recovery. So same again, take that momentum out of it, and then down you go, and then accelerate off. But you must stick the landing. Keep that sort of chest up nice and tall. I didn't stick the landing. I hope I go back. Look at that. What a legend. If you don't stick the landing, you have to go back, because it's kind of like you got greedy, and then you kind of go back and you do it right. So again, stand and jump, stick the landing, stand and jump, stick the landing, chest up nice and tall, head up nice and tall. I'll give myself that one. And guys, that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed that. Like, subscribe, do all those lovely things, and take care.